Gaming goodies, gaming goodies. This is the intro. Finish the video or I'll break your window. Enjoy.
Hey, what's up everybody? This is Gaming Goodies here. Welcome to the video. This is a redo of a video I had done a while back. There's a link to that in the description. So let's get right into it. The reason why I decided to make this video is because there's another video on my channel that I made a while back where I did something similar, but it was more of me showing a strategy that I still do, but it's more refined. But recently it seems like a lot of people have been watching it. I made that video almost a year ago. And back then I was more or less just starting my channel, so I had wanted to give an updated version on it. So here's an updated version on how to win Minecraft Treasure Wars. Obviously when you're playing Treasure Wars, one of the huge differences is going to be simply what platform you're playing on. If you're playing on PC, you're going to have a huge advantage over players who are on mobile, for example. Just because of how mobile's set up on the screen, it's kind of hard to play inherently with the devices. Playing on a computer, you have the ability to use your keyboard, your mouse, and you can set better sensitivities, have better gear, etc, etc. Now, from how I would mark it up to be where top to best for consoles, and any system that you can play Treasure Wars on, the best one obviously is a PC. If your PC's not good, then obviously it's going to be worse. But inherently, PC's better just because of the hardware and everything. You can have good mouse, good keyboard, everything that you want to do, you can have. Now, second, at least for me personally, would be playing Xbox One, just because of how an Xbox One's set up. On Xbox One, the controller's nice, it's crisp, and motions are pretty good to do. When you're playing on a PS4, which I ranked as being number 3rd on the list, I would say PS4 is better just because of the system and the rivalry it has with Microsoft. I've never really played a PS4, but that's how what category I would put it in. And I'm assuming people on that platform are just as good as people on Xbox, depending on how long they've been playing and how practiced they are. Now the last one I would say, second to last after those two, would be the Nintendo Switch, just because of how the controls are on the Switch. They can be hard to use at times, especially since they're smaller. Now I mean this using the Joy-Cons. Using the Pro Pad is probably easier, but when you're using it in terms of switching from an Xbox controller to the Pro Pad or whatever, it gets confusing because of how Nintendo's button layout is different. I don't know if it's any different on Switch, but I know for a fact that on Wii U, the button layout can be pretty annoying. And then obviously last, as I said before, is a phone. Just because phones they're flat screens and they're stupid and they're just not good for gaming in general normally. Now you can do other things to improve your chances, such as getting a controller that can connect to it, and like I said, you can get Bluetooth controllers that can connect right to it. You can get Xbox One S or Xbox One controllers. The original one won't work because it doesn't have Bluetooth enabled, but in the S and X Xbox controllers you can use them and get the same advantage as those players. And there's definitely options out there to where you can even go as far as hooking up a keyboard and mouse, but because of how people play on mobile, the inherent use of using a screen and a touch screen to be able to do motions like PvP, it's not good for that. And a lot of people get fed up, but you know, that's the platform you're playing on. You can't do anything about that, unfortunately, unless you get a controller. You can't complain about using a touchscreen if you don't try to improve your life when playing a game. It depends on what you're playing on, obviously, but don't get me wrong, there's people who are absolutely fantastic with these kinds of devices. Like, it's one of the mods on my channel, and he is incredibly good on just a phone without a screen, because he's just really good at the game and knows what he's doing. At a certain point, it comes down to how good a player is and how practiced that player is. But, it doesn't always come down to device, and I just want to make that point that if you want to be God on anything, on any device, you can just, but it takes practice, it takes a lot more effort. If I were to switch over to a mobile phone right now, I'd be playing like it, because I'm not good on a mobile phone, simply as that. Playing on PC, I have an advantage over people who can't do anything. But the big thing about mobile that people don't understand is that it's not lacking in its advantages as a system. Because if you're playing on a screen, the simple thing is that on a screen, you're not centered. The cursor's not centered like this. On a screen, you have the ability to tap anywhere. It's just people don't use the full ability to it, and hardcore gamers don't care to necessarily. But there are people out there who were stuck as a phone as a kid, or never wanted to upgrade and were stubborn and just decided, hey, I'm gonna get really good on this platform, and people have done that. So for in-game items, the best thing I could say is just use what the game gives you. Don't worry about what other people say about you. Don't worry about people getting mad that you're using a bow. Don't worry about people getting mad that you're using snowballs. Because the simple thing is that the game has given you these items to help you win. They're in the game for a reason. They're in the game for people who are good with bows, for people who are good with snowballs, to be able to use them. They're an asset in the game. You should be allowed to use them. Now, the number one thing I want to start off with is the fact that you cannot just go defensive in Treasure Wars. The game is simply not set up for it in this current update. There's not enough blocks to make it worth your while to actually do it, because literally all it will take is a guy in diamond gear and an iron pickaxe or a stone pickaxe, or just walk right up to your base, mine through everything, and get your treasure immediately. You don't need to do anything else other than this, is make a 2-layer pyramid out of wool. Now, don't get me wrong, you can make this out of other materials if you want to, but my ultimate end-all be-all recommendation is to never make it more than 2 layers. And the reason why I say never more than 2 layers is because if you make an object that is very large, people can mine inside of it and then box themselves in, especially if it's a harder material. Then you can't even reach that person anymore. Why I use a pyramid? I use this pyramid shape because it's easier to box yourself in a shape that is anything else other than this pyramid. Within 2 layers, it's hard to box yourself in, to make a barrier around yourself that wasn't there before. If you build a perfect cube or a random array of blocks, it's much easier for a person to grab their own blocks and box themselves in, and then mine your treasure while you're trying to get them. Snowballs in this game are extremely OP. Not a lot of people use them. I think more people should be using them. They're very cheap compared to most items. They're only like an emerald. For 5 emeralds, you can run the table across the whole map. I've been able to win games only using snowballs. It's just an incredibly good item that people don't take advantage of. It's kind of the same concept with bows, except bows are more expensive, and bows are useful for the fact that they do damage. So on top of being able to hit somebody off of something, they do damage. If you want to get very strategic, quick hits on somebody, and you want to land damage on that person, you should use a bow. You can acquire diamond armor and a diamond sword. You can run the table, especially if you're a decent player. And because armor doesn't go away, armor's permanent in Treasure Wars unless you remove it, is so valuable to get to middle and get those 20 emeralds and get diamond gear, at least diamond gear, and then eventually get a diamond sword or whatever else. But the diamond armors, it's just an important item. If you think there's a dangerous threat in the game, you need to get diamond armor. If you feel like you're not going to win against a certain player, get diamond armor. Another big thing is speed bridging. Speed bridging is a big deal. Obviously, it's a game in the sky in Treasure Wars, and if you can speed bridge, you can do things other players can't. If you're able to speed bridge, you can run to the base next to you and kill them before you can, especially if you can run and jump while doing it. If you're able to speed bridge to middle quicker, you can get away with doing it. There's 2 ways of speed bridging. The first way is simply angling up your player on the block, and then moving forward and testing yourself, and then being able to run with that and jump at a certain point and get to where you want to go. Now, the other way of doing it is if you are on a flat surface and you have like a landing strip or like a running start, and you can run and jump. There's a certain spot where if you hit it and angle it just right and place blocks underneath your feet as you're running, you can actually just randomly start speed bridging off of flat surfaces. Now this is more of a good way to run away from other players. If somebody's chasing you and you need to get away and there's no clear path for it, if you are able to do that motion, you can just get away. One thing that a lot of people don't do either is building up and over. Obviously in certain circumstances it's not as important, but building up like a small staircase and then building across, especially moreover at the start of the game, when there's a person next to you, can be important so that they can't just rush you back. If you build a straight bridge from your base to the generator, they can just walk right across your bridge and kill your stuff. Although if you need to get a rush on them, and you think it's faster, it's circumstantial a lot of the time. However, building up and over it can save your game. I also want to make clear that on any version of Minecraft you're playing on, whether it's mobile, PS4, Switch, Xbox One, or on a computer, all of these things are possible. You can speed bridge on a phone still. You can use a bow on a PS4. You can do all of these things. It just comes down to how good you are on your platform that you've chosen to play on, how good your system is and how good your internet is. And unfortunately that's the reality of it, but at a certain point you need to address yourself as a player and look at how to get better. Also, it doesn't just come down to CPS, clicks per second. It doesn't matter how fast you're clicking. It doesn't matter how fast you're aiming if you can't get clicks. It doesn't matter if you can't get combos. It doesn't matter if you can't strategize. A big part of this game is being able to strategize, being able to aim, and being able to get clicks per second. If you can do all of those three things, strategize, get decent clicks per second, and be able to aim on the other player, then you can take wins if you can just do those three things. That's obviously hard, but you gotta practice. You can't just expect to win. And you can look at every strategy you want, you can look at everything you want to do, but honestly at a certain point it comes down to how good you are as a player before Treasure Wars, and how much you actually want to practice at the game. Now at the end of this video there is about a 5-minute clip where I run through a game and start to finish beat it using most of the strategies I'm talking about now. Now I will take note that the people in that game, they weren't very good, and I was using the full ability and going try hard on everything, being able to strategize and using bow and just doing what I gotta do to take the win, and I kinda wrecked it and got a game within 5 minutes. Anyway, guys, if you did enjoy today's video, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and share gaming goodies to the far reaches of the internet. We'll see you guys another day. And peace out. Bye.
Gaming goodies. We got Minecraft and some other stuff. Please watch or I'll rob your Fortnite account. Minecraft is for my homies. If you don't play it, then you're ugly. Hopefully you watch my channel or you have no shoes.